going on? When Jeremiah 28, correction, 28. What is the markings of a true prophet? And what is God truly speaking today in America? Well, if you read the chapter of 28 of Hananiah's false dream and falsehood and his false prophecy against Jeremiah, you'll see, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Jeremiah comes in the courts of the king to essentially warn the king that, pestilence, war, and famine, going back to previous page of Jeremiah 27, sword, famine, and pestilence was my last video. A true prophet in America today would be preaching this. And you're going to say, well, that sounds too extreme, considering nothing's really happening. You go out your door, you take your dog for a walk, you have a cup of coffee, and say, nothing's happening. Baloney. We're under pestilence right now with COVID, and it's getting worse. They're finding new variants. They're finding new issues, and then we're also going through new diseases that are crossing the border. Okay. The sword, which equals war. Right now, Russia's on the brink of crossing the border of Ukraine, and that right now is up in the air. But it looks like we're headed for a serious world war with China and Russia. Russia's on the doorstep of Ukraine, and China's on the doorstep of Taiwan. And so you're starting to see empty shelves at the store. So eventually this is all going to culminate to famine. So this is what God's warning me. So a true prophet will be preaching this. Okay. So you go to chapter 28, and essentially Hananiah, the false prophet, and all these name it and claim it's and smooth talkers that you see online, or they're mega churches. They're preaching good candy coated messages to make you feel good, but our country's in a disarray. Our country is collapsing from the core. It's Sodom and Gomorrah from head to toe. I don't want to get into details, but Jeremiah came in the courts and he warned the king that this stuff is going on. And so Hananiah said, hey, he's a false prophet. So he broke, Jeremiah had a yoke on his head to symbolize the yoke of oppression that's coming from foreign invaders. Okay. So Hananiah decides I'm going to break the yoke off of Jeremiah's neck, symbolizing the yoke of oppression that he thinks that's coming. But actually, so you got a false prophet, dueling, kind of like, they're dueling and they're trying to gain confidence with the king in the courts, and Jeremiah. So the king rejects Jeremiah's vision about war, disaster, and pestilence. So a true prophet will be preaching war, disaster, and pestilence. And so what did the king do? He essentially took Jeremiah out of the courts. He slapped him up. They hit him in the face prior to this page. You go previous page. They physically hit him in the face. Okay. Doesn't feel good to hit in the face. I've been hit in the face, and it's painful if you're not expecting it. If it's a sucker punch and it comes around and you're not expecting it, the right person's punching you, it's not going to feel good. I don't see no prophets getting beaten up. I don't see anyone getting going out and sacrificing their time to truly give out the true message of God, of Baal worship. Our country's worshiping Baal, and essentially what they're doing is they're killing children up to the ages of one plus age now, under the guise of homosexuality. Okay, so there's a lot other things going on, but I'm going to the heart of why God's furious right now. Judgment is slowly being turned up on the stove. It's a pot, kettle, frog, whatever you want to call that. Slowly being turned. This is how merciful God is. He's giving us time to repent. Like Nineveh. Now Nineveh has hope. That story has hope, unlike Jeremiah, where it says, no, judgment will come. There's nothing you can do. It's past due. We've crossed the line. So if you want a happy-go-lucky story, I'll give you Nineveh, where, Jonah says, disaster's coming, the people repent, and God saves the city. But that's actually happy-go-lucky. So I don't know which one we're at. But right now, the people, I don't think they're coming back after, what I've been seeing lately over the last 5 years. It's getting worse and worse and worse. So this is the message. Thus saith the Lord. Sword, famine, pestilence. We're under pestilence right now. Sword is coming. See how merciful God is with this Russia-Ukraine thing, where God is just, saying, repent before war begins. And then this is all going to cause famine, because we're going to have all in the mix, because that's what it all is. This country hasn't suffered in a long time since World War II and Great Depression. So put your seatbelts on unless you repent. It's a simple message. And the prophets I just showed you on this page, 27, yada, yada, yada. I just showed you that there's a false prophet's giving the message, and then there are the real prophets. And this is where all the prophets and just casual people in the church should be focused on getting right with God right now. Okay?